Well, to talk a bit more about Tehran's claims of a prisoner exchange with the United States, and also about what the deal with Saudi Arabia means for Tehran, we're joined by Behnam Ben Taleblu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Good evening to you, Behnam. So what do you read into those claims then? Iran says it has reached an agreement with the US. The White House said, no, nothing's happened.
Well, greetings, Laura. Pleasure to be with you. A couple different factors likely at play here. One, at the 50,000-foot level, sometimes a broken clock can be right twice a day, meaning in this sense, the Iranians do like to talk about potential prisoner swap deals just being on the verge of coming true, to use things like narrative economics to stabilize the economy, to potentially improve their domestic economic situation, to improve in particular the free flight of the rial, which we had just seen in the month of February. Another is, of course, that the U.S. may have given some signals over the past few months. Again, there's no source to substantiate this, but the Iranians might be quite keen to turn a molehill into a mountain in this case. And then the third one, of course, could be just denial and deception or distraction from what is going on internally. But all three are quite plausible at the moment. But it's worth, again, reporting that the State Department has denied anything has taken place.
All right. And if I could ask you now to turn your attention to that Chinese brokered agreement between Tehran and Riyadh. I mean, is this a major diplomatic victory for Iran? It's no longer isolated in the region, and it now benefits from strong ties not only with China and Russia, but it's now ended a long-running feud with its regional nemesis as well. It's all good news for Iran tonight.
Well, Iran is trying to capitalize on some of the military successes it's had, particularly in the heartland of the Middle East, in the northern tier of the Middle East with its proxies, and now is trying to amplify that through diplomacy by breaking up parts of the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council. The hedging we've seen from some of the staunchest Iran hawks of the GCC, particularly the UAE and Saudi Arabia, dates back to 2019, when the regime responded to the U.S. maximum pressure campaign by attacking oil supplies, by destabilizing commerce in the Persian Gulf, by going after Saudi Arabia in particular, by downing American drones, sending the kinds of signals that if conflict continues or if pressure continues, it'll be these countries that'll bear the brunt of it. And that has caused a hedging strategy that already was built on a shaky foundation of trust between some of these countries and Washington because of the politics and the policy of the 2015 nuclear deal. So Iran is trying to capitalize on their concerns. And you can liken this diplomacy, which was built on 5 or 6 rounds of bilateral diplomacy between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which took place in both Baghdad and in Amman, as being akin to, with one hand a handshake and another hand a knife. So I don't think this will change the nature of Saudi-Iranian competition. I don't think this is a net improvement. In fact, I think this is a step back for Middle East security. And in fact, now the proponents of diplomacy in Europe may point to an argument now where the Iranian community wants to have the European countries withdraw their ambassadors and downgrade ties and say, look, countries in the region are actually tightening ties with Tehran. So it's a political win for Tehran, even if something substantively doesn't come of it.
Do you think that it will put pressure on Tehran to curb its destabilizing behavior in Syria, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Yemen?
None whatsoever. In fact, Iran will try to use the embassy again as potential leverage that it's going to be opened up by the Saudis in Tehran as something that could be taken over again if more pressure is put on them to do exactly those things. I think it's wishful thinking on behalf of the Saudis and some others to project this onto the Iranians. There is no mechanism. Again, no one has seen the full text of the agreement, but there is no mechanism likely that will bind Iran to its word. And why should the regime give up in the face of engagement when it hasn't given up this policy in the face of pressure?
Well, there's a 2-month cooling off period, if you like, between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Might we see Saudi Arabia reconsider?
No, I think the Saudis want this for some kind of diplomatic valve. It's part of their consistent hedging strategy we've seen. And make no mistake, both of these countries are also seeing things through the China lens because China is the most important economic partner of Riyadh when it comes to oil and the most important economic partner of Tehran when it comes to oil. So the Chinese may want to try to put a cap onto the escalation that has already been seen in the Persian Gulf for quite some time.